We are at the Kent County Board of Commissioners Operation and Policy Committee, and I call this meeting to order. First item on our agenda is public comment. If you'd like to address the board, no more than 3 minutes, please. Morning, Dee.
How y'all doing? D. Jones, passionate entrepreneur and visionary. Yesterday, I'd like to say that Dan, I also got announced as the chair of the Stockton Bridge Community Hub. So now I chair the Community Hub. I collected over 100 signatures. Dan, you were actually one of the people that actually signed the signatures that I collected, and I gave it to David LeGrand. And I'm happy to say that we actually have a lot of foundations trying to pour at least $4 million into our community hub already. And then we are actually going to be working with Independent Bank. We have a banker on our board from Independent Bank, and he's actually let us know that they help another community organization around our city get $5 million in funding to actually do this. So I'll be coordinating. As you guys know, I'm very smart, very innovative. I know how to handle this. I handled the participatory budgeting process when we had that going on for the city. And so I'm just ready to lead and pioneer and to attack the social issues that's affecting Kent County, our city. The cool thing about our innovation hub and our community hub is these things aren't just going to serve the constituents around our side of the city, but it's here to serve the entire Kent County and further on, anyone that needs services that we can provide the services. So I'm just thankful to be able to, advocate for my community, and hopefully with the policies and operations that you guys do, hopefully those things can align and you guys can help us with some funding, advocating for some funding from the state government once there is a budget or something like that. It'd be nice for y'all to also pour some funding into the community hub that we're developing, because you guys can't solve all of the social issues, but you guys can pour funding into the entrepreneurs, the visionaries, and the people around the community. We also have a lot of other community organizations. We'll be sitting down with 6 community organizations in Independent Bank, and Annette Vandenberg, the executive director of the West Grand organization, and I'll be asking my commissioner, Carol Hennessy, once I see her, would she like to sit on the committee? And I'll be having these committees open to the public as I can be, because as a chair, I believe that you're supposed to have these things as open and accessible, and I'd like to listen to all of the feedback, whether they're politicians, people on the street, people that are unhoused. I'd like to hear everybody's feedback, because this is going to be better for the community and just building a better community. And so I'm very, very excited, very passionate. I can't explain how I feel, because I did all of the groundwork, and you guys see me do that, and I've been genuine, I've been passionate, I've been going through a lot of things, but I still, get up and I put my shoes on and I still go out here and I step for the community, because that's what leaders do. And I got to stand on business for the community, because at the end of the day, I'm somebody that live in poverty, that grew up in poverty, and I'm going to change the circumstances of people that live in poverty across Kent County one day with this community hub, and hopefully with the help of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Is there anyone else that would like to address the committee? All right, seeing no one, we need approval of last meeting's minutes. I will look on this right side for a motion by DePore and supported by Ponstein. I'm taking that as supported by Ponstein after the motion. Any comments, corrections, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed, last meeting's minutes have been approved. Next item on our agenda, special order of business. Facilities Management Annual Report. Tim, thanks for being here today. And
good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to present. Really like this graphic here that kind of leads us off. It shows some of the breadth of the things that facility management achieves on a daily basis: technology, security, conservation, quality environment, purchasing and leasing real estate, maintaining those facilities on a daily basis, and then the continuity of all of those to make sure that it's happening every single day. This is just a graphic of some of the facilities that we own here in the county. We've got the Fallisburg Dam up on the left, courthouse on the upper right, health department on lower left, animal shelter in the middle and the bottom, and a concept of what a new Fuller administration building could look like in the lower right, just to give you some perspective across the 1.5 million square feet that we currently own and maintain, and what may be coming in the future as we continue through the presentation. I think you see this in all of your departmental presentations, so this is the flow. You're familiar with it. So our mission is to manage county facilities and projects, striving for customer satisfaction by recognizing and meeting the needs of departments, providing a safe environment for employees and visitors while maintaining fiscal responsibility in accordance with the policies and procedures of the county. And again, that goes back to customer service. That's the number one thing that we do. We want to make sure that the environment that our employees and the visitors of our buildings are in are the best that we can provide with the money that's been allocated to our team. So we take a lot of pride in our quality and being friendly to provide that service, being reliable when you call us. Hopefully if it's an emergency, we can be there in, 5 minutes or less. We want to take care of things and just building relationships all across the county with the teams. And that's one of the things that I personally love about my role, the breadth of what we get to do in facilities and all the folks that I get to meet and the understanding of all the different departments and their needs. There's a lot to it, so those relationships are important. So just some highlights of what we've done recently. Our annual operations budget is roughly 15 million, so paying for staff and toilet paper and electricity and just all the basics that make a building work across that 1.5 million square feet is roughly 15 million a year. The major capital improvement projects have averaged about $9 million across the last 4 years. We've probably got a pretty big spike coming in the near future, pending some additional approvals. But that's still a pretty heavy lift for our one project manager that we have on the team. Of course, budget recommendations, monitoring and tracking leases across all of our different properties, and administering contracts. We have a lot of partners, especially in the mechanical and plumbing industry, to help us maintain all of our buildings, to keep our staffing at the right level. We lean on the private sector too to help us out. And then maintaining and managing our downtown parking and the cards and all the employee changes and turnover is a really big lift that our team also takes care of. I'll just gloss over this one pretty quickly. It's really what we do, strategic goals, and then safety and quality, again, really critical. We take a lot of pride in making sure that our team has a safe work environment. If we're working in a public space, making sure that that's blocked off so that the public is protected, making sure that we're taking good care of anybody that might happen to walk through. Continuing forward on some key performance metrics. Again, this is just a graph of capital expenses that have been managed by the facilities management team over the last 6 years, and that trend line is certainly going upward. You'll notice back in 2020, that trend line was kind of at the $4 million per year mark, and now we're approaching 10 million, so more than doubled across 6 years. And some of that is inflation, but some of that is we've just been investing more in our facilities, and we appreciate that. They're getting slowly newer over time, but we've got a lot of work to continue to do. So some of our bigger accomplishments that we've achieved in 2025, the Fuller Clinic renovation. We've got drywall and doors up and some first coat of paint, so we're looking to reoccupy in early November. That's been a $4.5 million project, and kudos to the health department team relocating and shuffling to other sites and really changing their operations for 8 to 10 months, I think is what it's going to end up being. So that's a big thing to achieve. Similarly, the animal shelter renovations were less in nature, but moving, I think it was 45 dogs and 30 some cats, and finding a temporary site and moving all the kennels while we could achieve those renovations was a big lift for Blake, our project manager, and the animal shelter team. So kudos to them for achieving that. Back to the health department, our South Clinic renovation. That was done kind of in April, May, June, so that's been complete, and I think we're still replacing some flooring in some of the rooms, but overall that went really well. Fallisburg Dam, that was kind of on that initial slide. This is a 2-phase project, so drove some sheet piling to strengthen the embankments this year, and that's complete. We're in design to strengthen the spillway and Tainer gates next year. So that's anticipated to be another $2 million for a $4 million project total. Been working really hard on the administration building design, been through kind of 3 different iterations. I think we've got a lot of momentum on the one that we're currently on, so continuing to move forward with that and preparing to have a public input and comment session to bring that to the neighborhoods in the near future. Demolished 1101 Ball, just north of the Fuller campus, out there by juvenile detention. Been working with the city of Grand Rapids on Calder Plaza design out here. The concrete decking needs to be replaced, so that as a minimum, I think is likely to happen in the next few years. There's some other park-like improvements that have been planned as well. I'm not sure if the finances will end up being found for that or not, but that's been something that we've been helping with. And I don't know, you can read the last few. I do think medical examiner is worth touching on. We went through a schematic design process out on the Fuller campus. Kind of ran into some budget challenges, so we chose to look around and see if there was any other commercial or health-related sites that were available here locally in Kent County, and there were some viable options, so we should be bringing that forward to the board for potential consideration in the next month or 2 here. And then I guess I also do want to note the 7th floor build out and lease of 250 Monroe was a big deal for the public defender, bringing them on and achieving that. And we anticipate occupying the 7th floor there coming up toward the end of October. So that's going well. This is really just our org chart, kind of different layers. The management team is more up in blue. Our building supervisors are in red. Some supervisors only oversee 1 or 2 buildings. Some oversee 3 or 4. Across the network, it all depends on square footage and complexity. But one key member of our team is Mark Rao, our operations manager. As you can see, he's a really important communicator from the building supervisors and the boots on the ground, so to speak, back to the management team. And we're really blessed to have his experience and skills in our group. So a look ahead, as I mentioned, we continue to move forward with the Fuller campus administration building design. Also getting a construction manager on board to start the hospital demo so that we have a place to potentially build that building. We did receive a grant for an energy efficiency study across all of our buildings in the county, which I'm really excited about. I think we're already doing a pretty good job being energy efficient, but it's certainly good to continue to look under the hood and see if there's any additional opportunity to save money and use new technologies in a better way. And that, could help create a 5-year capital improvement plan for me to continue to build out things here in our portfolio. We do have a North County fuel island that's also planned this upcoming fiscal year. I need to work out parking agreement. Our arrangement with the Ellis deck expires September 30, 2026, so roughly a year from now. And we've got about 115 spaces in that deck that currently park at the courthouse. So we're going to work through whether that's staying there or finding an alternative site close to the courthouse. And then a lot of our parking lots just need a little attention. And a financial look ahead. I believe this was shown in the work session that I was on vacation last week, but just, a concept, and these are certainly very loose budgetary numbers of what that looks like. But when I talk about we're spending $9 million on capital projects on average over the last 4 years, this is obviously much larger than that. But we do have a lot of significant projects kind of in the queue, and that's it. I would be glad to take any questions that you may have.
Well, thank you, Tim. We really appreciate that. Commissioners, comments, questions? Commissioner Ponstein.
Thank you, Chair Burrell. So I'll keep you around a little bit longer. So, I think I look at our facilities, they're maintained very well, serve the community very well also. So I guess my question is that we have a lot of things we do for the county where we have other people run them, but we're told that these are community assets. Do we have any input? So the airport's got a private authority when they want to build, the zoo's got a separate board when they want to add, Network 180, the road commission, I guess you could throw in if they went under, it'd come back to us anyways. Do you have any input, or do they seek out input, or do we ever look at a greater vision going forward
Sure.
of what the county stands for?
So I think most of that response probably should come from Al, but the easy one that I can provide you is anytime anything happens at the zoo, I do a plan review on what that proposed work is, just to make sure that it meets the standards of the county. So, I do a plan review of that, and sometimes the sidewalk slopes aren't right, or, little things like that. But other than that, no, there's not a lot of additional purview from the facilities departments on those other, related, but mostly independent organizations.
And I think the zoo appreciates it. If you look at this too, why is the zoo separate with the other three run?
I can help with that. So it's the zoo operating agreement that provides the requirement that for when an improvement at the zoo needs to be approved by the county, and I'm the one that approves that per the agreement. Tim, as a registered engineer, does the pre-work to make sure he looks at it in great detail before I sign off on it. So that's the zoo. The airport actually adopts a master plan, and they do consult with us in that process. And so they've kind of worked that all out ahead of time with their master plan. And then the Network 180, they could really be anywhere. They have chosen to lease space from us, but certainly as an authority, if they chose, they could lease space elsewhere. And so currently their administration is over in 82 Ionia because of the flood that happened at the former facility. And so we do work closely with them with space. The current plan is that they would locate in the new facility on the Fuller campus, so we're still working closely with them on space, but it isn't mandated that they would be with us. And then, of course, their clinic operations are in the separate facility on the Fuller campus. So they're really all different deals set up in different legal constructs, and so that's why, so there isn't like a formula that applies to each.
I'm not seeing another question, so Commissioner Pakla. I was waiting for Commissioner Ponstein to maybe give him a couple seconds for one more item.
I'm starting to learn that, I'll just leave it at that.
Tim, thanks for being here. I always appreciate the presentation, and I hope that you heard last week from the team that was here at the board work session just how appreciative we are for the listening that happened during the facilities conversations on the new Fuller campus. Really kudos to you all for that jaunty pathway to get from where we were a while back to where we are right now. I think you're right. I think we've got momentum in that space right now. I've got two questions. The first is, can you talk a little bit about the process by which you and your team are assessing the cost of projects compared to the cost of not doing projects, right? So this sort of proactive versus reactive approach to things. I'm not well versed in sort of how we as a county are approaching those conversations. The Calder deck, for instance, is something that if we know that it needs to be replaced at some point, right? But we don't have sort of this behind the scenes look at what it means to replace it at $16 million in the next few years versus waiting until something catastrophic is happening. Can you talk just a little bit about that process?
Yeah, and actually the Calder deck is a good example. So it's been leaking and getting progressively worse at that leaking every year, down below into the deck. And so that can cause, staining on cars and just the freeze thaw cycle. As that water continues to get in, it gets worse and worse and worse every year. And it's been at least 30, I think approaching 40 years since that deck was resurfaced, so it has lived a long life. And really similarly across any of our buildings or utilities and things that we maintain, they do have a kind of scheduled useful life. Things are designed to wear out over time. Some things can last 100 years, but most things are 20 or 40 at best. So it's really tagging that asset, understanding its life cycle. If it's a 20-year, scheduled asset, trying to push those to 25 and 30 with good maintenance and taking care of things to really squeeze every last drop out of it is what we try to do. But occasionally you'll have a lemon, so to speak, and something might only last 15 years. So there's some variability, but yeah, it's really just asset management and tracking those different assets.
That's really useful. Yeah, I appreciate that. The other question I have is how we as a facilities management, sort of mindset are thinking through the electrification of the fleet that we have, the space that's available for EVs. I've driven an EV for about a year. I've been so excited that I've never had any maintenance on it whatsoever. I know that there are some municipalities that are starting to think through what it looks like to pilot those. East Grand Rapids has 3 F-150 Lightnings that they're using in various spaces. And when I combine that with reports that suggest that when we have better access to EVs across everywhere, it sort of diminishes the capacity needs of the entire system. So, can you talk just a little bit about what that conversation has been, and not suggesting that we go full EV right now, but.
Yeah, so I have a quarterly meeting with our customer service rep, and, that comes up really every quarter when we meet. To be honest, the fleet, the facilities team takes care of is, 4 or 5 vehicles, is very small. So really, I think if this were to move, it's probably more of a sheriff discussion. We're in the process. We got a $10,000 grant from consumers to put in our first car charger, so that should be happening in the next month or so at our 601 Ottawa lot. So we're slowly moving, but it's a step. But personally, I think that policy decision probably comes from a different department that just has so many more vehicles in the fleet, and then understanding, does that work for their needs and the reliability of gas and the electric grid, and just, all those things that they have to consider.
Commissioner DeBoer.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Tim, for being with us. What is the North Kent Fuel Island? Is that for the North Kent campus, or?
Yeah, thanks. Good question. It is. So the sheriff department up there, they did an analysis on how cost effective it was to get fuel, from Speedway or Marathon or whatever stations up there, and the cost that we pay for it versus just having bulk at our own site. And there was a pretty quick payback on that. So we were adding fuel islands similar to what we have near Fleet Services on the Fuller campus to save money over time, and also a little bit of operations efficiency for the office, for the deputies as well.
Commissioner Faber.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather, so got a good baritone voice this morning, though. Couple questions. First, in terms of metrics, I think coming out of this energy efficiency audit, it would be really helpful for the facilities to help guide a process by which we determine what that goal, where our baseline is and where our goal is. And I think to Commissioner Ponstein's question, taking a leadership role that plants a flag so that these other enterprise funds and authorities and anyone really with a partnership with the county can say, here's how we're contributing to that goal, even if it's something that facilities doesn't or the county doesn't directly control. I think that's really important for the county to take that leadership role. So I look forward to what that metric looks like and how we start to align resources towards it, and how that hopefully ties in with some sort of a sustainability plan, again, to show the community that we're taking a leadership role on these issues. My other is more of so one question is, are there other sort of sub-metrics? I think if we're only measuring how much we're spending on stuff, there's only one way for that arrow to go. So what are we really measuring there? And then the second question, I know it came up when we were going through the CIP process, but we've set, what I've learned is, according to the audit, this $25,000 sort of threshold of what requires, facilities or others to get involved. It's hard to buy a toothbrush for $25,000 right now. So why have we, I just want to keep that thread alive so that we don't lose it. I don't know what the progress is on that to determine whether that $25,000 should be a different number so that we're not, having to burn resources on stuff that, are kind of no-brainer purchases or things that could be done at the department level.
Yeah, that'd be great. And just brief response, I have 8 of our buildings are now in the Energy Star portfolio, so that is at least establishing a very basic baseline. After this energy efficiency study is complete, and certainly every building will be in there and we'll have a much better understanding. So really excited to have this information and data to make better informed decisions.
Great, thank you, Commissioners. Tim, I guess on a previous board I was on, they had GMB do audits on all of our facilities, on the maintenance program and things that need to be done as far as clocks to locks, right? I mean, you name it, it was in there. Who performs that audit for us, and do you have that list? Does your staff perform that audit on which each building needs from A to Z in priority, and how are we doing on that? Are we going behind, or are we gaining on that list?
Yeah, so we do have a building management software system. It was really initially designed for IT processes and kind of works the way that we want it to. So that does kick out recurring items like clocks and things that just need to happen. IT is actually looking for a new provider right now. We just finished an RFP process and we're also evaluating some of those options. But yes, I guess short answer is it's done internally and software helps drive it and it automatically feeds to our staff.
Do you feel as though we're gaining ground or losing ground on those maintenance items?
I feel that we are keeping up. We have a lot of vendors as well that help assist us with like filter changes on furnaces. So, but we still need a staff member to sometimes let them in, or if there's a specific issue, on a certain boiler, then, there's still coordination. I guess I would just say that we're keeping up. I don't feel that we're getting further ahead or really falling behind, to be honest.
How are we doing on maybe potential remodels do we have a program that after so many years old, I know Walmart's, for example, I think every 5 years they're turning these buildings over, as far as some remodels, do we have any programs such as that when a building's hitting so many years old, we start looking at that remodel to keep it fresh?
Yeah, and that really goes back to that asset management tracking and, tagging those assets and understanding their expected life cycle. So especially as they're getting into that maybe last 5 years, taking a much closer look and can we get another 10 out of it, or how is this thing functioning, and is it energy efficient, or is it a really big hog? And even if it is doing okay, what's the payback to replace it if there's newer technology available? So yeah, that's constantly analyzed really every year as we go into the CIP process.
All right, sounds great. Tim, thank you for being here today and appreciate your time. All right, next item on our agenda is the Parks and Recreation Annual Report. Ben Swayze. Ben.
Great, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come here today and talk a little bit about our Kent County Parks Department. So just real quick, this is a snapshot of our department. So we maintain 43 parks and green spaces spread pretty evenly throughout Kent County, and you can see the map there on your screen as well. Those 43 parks and green spaces constitutes almost 8,000 acres. So a really robust system. We do have 28 full-time employees in our department. About 7 of those are administrative employees that work out of the Parks Administration Building down at the north end of Millennium Park. The rest of those are full-time park managers and assistant managers that are, again, spread throughout the system. So our system is divided into 11 different regions. Each region has at least one full-time manager, and then several of them have a assistant or several assistant managers. And of course, the biggest part of our team is our seasonal employees. So we hire approximately 200 seasonal employees every year. A majority of them work a couple weeks before Memorial Day to a couple weeks after Labor Day. And we also manage 109 miles of regional and park trails. So 43 miles of that are paved trails, kind of our interurban trails. And then the rest of those are inter-park trails. They may be paved, crushed aggregate, or natural surface trails. So we are a general fund funded department of the county. However, we are really proud of the fact that we do provide a significant portion of our budget through earned revenue, and I'll talk about that in a slide in a minute. But our operating budget for this 2024 year was around $7.5 million. And then we did receive from you guys an additional $1 to $1.5 million in capital improvement monies. So our earned revenue sources come primarily from 4 places. Kaufman Golf Course, which is our 18-hole golf course in the city of Wyoming. Wabassis Campground, which is up in the northern part of the county. The Millennium Park Beach, which includes entry admissions and our concessions and boathouse there. And then a whole host of enclosed shelters, open shelters, and picnic areas that we run throughout the park system. So presentation overview, as Tim said, you guys see this, but did want to draw attention to our mission statement. The Kent County Parks Department enhances the quality of life in Kent County by providing outstanding parks and trails adhering to the highest standards of recreation. The department efficiently achieves this vision by developing vibrant partnerships, sustainable funding, and accessible parks and trails that amply meet the needs of future generations. So we'll talk about how we accomplish that mission statement through our goals here in the next couple slides. Alignment with board priorities, so high quality of life, obviously providing our parks and trails and natural spaces is key to the quality of life of our residents in Kent County. Economic prosperity has been something that fortunately a lot of economic development organizations have focused on parks and recreation the past couple years, understanding that providing these high quality parks and public spaces can lead to economic development in your areas. And then excellence in service delivery. We really promote a culture that emphasizes customer service in our department. There are a lot of Kent County residents that their only interaction with the county an entire year will be visiting a park. We want to make sure that that is a positive experience for them when they're in our parks and our facilities. So just to talk some about some of our strategic goals and performance measures. So protecting the quality and sustainable of Kent County Park System by continuing to increase and diversify funding sources. Again, we're really proud of the fact that we provide a lot of our operating dollars through earned revenue. In 2024, it was another record year for us, $3.3 million in earned revenue. And that represented just over 45% of our overall budget. So I will note that 2023 is a false spike in that cost recovery. So that was our 9-month budget season. And because that budget incorporated almost all of our revenue collection, it really represented 12 months of revenue and only 9 months of expenditures. So typically we are in that 40 to 50% range. And we do focus a lot in bringing in outside funding for capital improvements as well. So in 2024 was another great year. We got a couple of trust fund grants. We got some sub-grants from the DGRI Grand River Greenway. And then a couple other grants for our Dwight Liddell Water Wheel project in Comstock Park that I'll talk about here in a minute. Another goal, efficiently provide a range of enjoyable recreation opportunities at Millennium Park that are easily accessible to the general public. Beach admissions were down just slightly in 2024. But our earned revenue there remained steady. So again, we charge for entryway into the beach. We do have a concession stand. We have our boathouse there. Really reasonable cost. So, you know, this isn't really a profit driver. This is really just to help with the costs of running the beach there and make sure that people are getting a high quality experience. I did want to draw attention to the fact that I don't know why the screens went off, but we did have 9.5% of our Millennium Park attendance was attributed to the Splash program. This is a program that we partner with KDL and GRPS, where we provide free admissions to students and families through reading programs, and we're happy to support that program again this year. So next is efficiently provide a quality 18-hole golf course for the general public. Again, this is Kaufman Golf Course in the city of Wyoming. 2024, weather-wise, was an incredible year for golf. It wasn't too hot, it wasn't too rainy. So we saw record revenues again in 2024, which we were really fortunate for. And just want to note too that the golf course is home to both the Kent County Amateur Championship and the Kent County Senior Amateur Championship, which are two of the premier golf events in Kent County. And then we have our campground up to the north, so efficiently provide a range of campsite and support facilities for the general public. We're really proud of our campground. We offer a whole range of opportunities here, whether you want to rustic tent camp, you want to pull your trailer in, you want to stay at one of our rustic cabins, or our full service lakefront cottage. There's a lot of opportunities out there. During our high season, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, it's not uncommon for the campground to sell out all week. And if you want to get in one of those cabins or the cottage, you have to get in line right when they become available in order to get those. Also really, really proud of our volunteer services program. So we would not be able to operate our system without the volunteer services program. In 2024, we had over 11,000 volunteer hours. We're able to translate that into a cost, especially when we're applying for grants. And the value of that volunteer service was nearly $340,000 last year. So we collaborated with 149 different outside agencies. Sometimes that's businesses, sometimes that's Boy Scouts, churches, to come out and work in our parks. Also had a total of just over 2,400 individual volunteers, and we worked on 25 different park and trail sites in 2024. So every 5 years, we develop our Parks, Trails, and Natural Areas Master Plan. In 2024, we approved our another 5-year iteration of that. This is really important for our DNR trust fund applications. We have now received over 60 DNR trust fund grants in the history of our department. In order to be eligible for those grants, we have to have a county-approved master plan. So that keeps us eligible for those programs. And really, the goals in the document help us develop what our priorities are going to be for the next 5 years as we're working on those capital improvement plans and partnerships and where we might expand parks or improve parks. A couple of significant accomplishments. So we cut the ribbon on 10 years of improvements at Dwight Liddell Park. So we actually had 3 different improvement projects here over the past 10 years. The final project that we completed in 2024 was the restoration of the water wheel, which was great to get that going. We have a lot of partners in this area. The Comstock Park DDA is an incredible partner for the investments we've made in this park, and they're already banging on my door about what the next improvements will be here. We did restore the North Millennium Trailhead. So in 2022, we were able to move into our new facility, which our staff is still incredibly thankful for. Everybody that walks through that door is incredibly impressed with the space that we have, and we give a lot of tours. But we wanted to also make sure that we're good stewards of the former site. So you can see there on the right where our double-wide trailers used to be and the sea of asphalt. In the middle is the middle of the project where we removed all that asphalt, restored the wetlands, and expanded the North Millennium Trailhead. And that pictured there to the left is its current state. If you've been down there, it's doing exactly what we wanted to do. So that water is draining off Butterworth sometimes into our wetland and restoring the property. So we're excited about that. We're also excited that the last project in this area, not our project, but the city of Grand Rapids, is investing in redoing Butterworth. So if you come visit us or Millennium Park lately, you usually have to pay for a car wash on the way home because of the state of that road. And that should be improved here in 2026. Another significant accomplishment as we are working on the Greenway projects that I'll talk about here in a little bit down in Johnson Park. We expanded the parking lot down there, which we are considering the west trailhead for the Kent County section of the Greenway. And I'll talk about upcoming improvements here in a minute. So look ahead. You've heard me talk for 2 years now about the Grand River Greenway, and we're really excited that these projects are starting. So we partnered with Plainfield Township on our first section of the project, which will be along Rogue River between the White Pine Trail and Northland Drive. They are putting shovels in the dirt as we speak for that project. Some of the projects that we will have going on in 2026 include the tunnel under Northland Drive at the end of that, the pathway going down Cannonsburg to Pettis, the pathway going south on Pettis from Cannonsburg until Knapp Street, and the separated pedestrian bridge on Knapp Street over the Grand River. So all of those projects will be underway of 2026. A lot of the funding for those projects have a spending deadline at the end of next year, so we're really excited to get going on those. Wallfield Dog Park, so we've invested a significant amount of money in Wallfield over the past couple years and incredibly excited for this project. So when we do those master plans that I was just talking about, we typically hear 3 things all the time. We want splash pads, we want pickleball courts, and we want dog parks. And dog park is certainly the one that fits into our motif the best. So in the Kent County Park System, this will be our first dog park. It'll be 10 acres, all enclosed. It'll have a separated 1 acre park for small dogs, an acre pond with a beach and a jumping dock, restroom there as well with a dog wash station. So we're really excited about this. We get a couple calls a week, people asking if this is open yet, and we'll be excited to be cutting the ribbon on this project here in spring of 2026, and everybody will get an invite, and hopefully you will bring your dogs and your friends' dogs to this park. Johnson Park Phase 2, so again, we expanded the restroom, the parking lot in 2024. This project involves the creation of 6 to 8 miles of adaptive mountain bike trails, as well as the renovation for an all-season restroom, replacement of a playground, and a couple of smaller gathering spaces as well. Again, to develop this as the west trailhead for the Greenway. So the Greenway is not only a destination from the beginning to the end, but the experiences that you have along with it. So this will be a great place for people to ride. Right now, we have 2 mountain bike systems in our system, one at Wallfield Park, one at Luton Park, but both those places you pretty much have to get in your car and drive there, take your bike off the back of the car and ride the trails. This will be the first one that will be incredibly accessible. You'll be able to ride your bike to the park, ride the park, and then ride home. Sorry I went over, but happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Great, thank you, Ben. Commissioner Faber.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to this presentation. In a former life, I was the founding director of Friends of Grand Rapids Parks, and so they are something that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm just absolutely thrilled at the work that's happening at Kent County Parks. There used to be what I would consider the worst marketing campaign ever for downtown called Keep It a Secret, if anybody remembers that campaign. And I feel like for a long time, Kent County Parks had a similar motto, which was, let's not talk about ourselves and let people know what's going on. And I think under your leadership, particularly, that trend has really changed, that people see the parks, there's a brand associated with them, and it's a high quality brand. So the work you're doing is remarkable. That earned income or the where we're trending somewhere around 40%, a little bit better in terms of cost recovery. I don't think people probably really understand how remarkable that number is. Nationally, that hovers closer to 25 to 27% cost recovery. So that you're doing what you're doing in parks without dedicated parks funding, particularly like you might see in Ottawa County or in some of our local jurisdictions, it really is remarkable, and I just want to flag that. A couple comments as we kind of move forward. I'm really thrilled again with the Greenway project. I think that's a generational investment that we're making. It's a unique investment. $20 million from DGRI from downtown as a partner on that. That's once in a generation kind of opportunity. So parks, county parks particularly, we're ready to go and have really leveraged that funding. My concern with that is, you can sort of see the cliff coming of some of that capital dollars, and then obviously once you invest in capital, maintaining that moving forward. So my question in that is, every jurisdiction has to do these they don't have to do a 5-year master plan, but they do if they want to access state funding. Typically, those master plans are, a laundry list of all the projects that you could possibly do, just in case something happens, then you can get state dollars. They're not always the most strategic of documents, and so, with all these communities across Kent County having to do or wanting to do their 5-year master plan, they're all on different sequences of time frames. Ours now goes through 28. What role do you see the county playing in aligning some of those plans, particularly around the Greenway? We know we've got the basics of that done, but the placemaking opportunity, park opportunities along the Greenway are going to be significant, and I don't know that all the local jurisdictions have kind of seen that or figured that out yet. So, what do you see our role being moving forward there? And then I'll just have one more comment after that, sorry.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the comments and a great question. So a couple different angles on that. First, just want to note that I think one of the reasons that the Greenway has been so successful to date and will be so successful is because of the buy-in from the communities along the trail as well. So if you look at them, the city of Grand Rapids, Plainfield Township, Cannon Township, Ada Township, Cascade Township, they all have dedicated parks and trail millages. This project started before I got here, and I've tried to continue this, but really looking at it as a partnership rather than the county and the city just stepping up and building this. So having everybody around the table and understanding that this project is as important to them as it is to us was definitely that first step. In terms of the long-term capital funding, Downtown Grand Rapids Inc. has done a good job of thinking ahead on that. So they have been working on an operations and maintenance study, and I believe that before the end of the year, they'll have the results of that study coming out, basically to set the standards. So if you're a individual and you're riding the Greenway, you don't really care if you're going from the city of Grand Rapids to Plainfield Township to Cannon Township. You want a unified experience across the whole system. Doesn't make any sense if you get to a imaginary municipal border and all of a sudden your trail isn't plowed anymore. So trying to work on what those standards are and then how it gets funded into the future. But fortunately, funding trails and parks isn't new for any of these organizations, and I definitely think we'll get there. The other thing that we've been having a lot of conversations about are what are the next steps, right? So we've talked about the Greenway as the backbone project. And the backbone project is great, it needs to be there. But as I've been able to go out and have conversations with all of these other organizations, in fact, I was just at Virgins Township last night, they're excited about the Greenway and they want to understand how their community assets can connect into it, right? So the next step is really, getting all of these organizations together, understanding what are your key cultural centers, where are your parks, where are your facilities, and how do we strategically get all of those connected in as well so everybody in the county can experience the Greenway.
Great, thanks a lot, Ben. And then just another anecdotal, my son he's a soccer player, but he's getting more and more into golf and came home for the summer, and he and his buddies went to Kaufman and just had an amazing experience there. Didn't know that it was one of ours, did the Google search and had a pass, and to have that as an opportunity, both Indian Trails and Kaufman as municipal golf courses that are accessible and open and really provide that amazing opportunity for people that may not have that private country club membership, or golf is a game that's a little inaccessible to a lot of people. And so again, just I know from my time with the city that Kaufman was always seen as sort of a benchmark to try and achieve. And so again, I'm just thrilled with the work that you're doing there, and that we have a golf course, and that we're maximizing the use of it. So just a kudos again. Thanks.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commissioners' comments or questions? Commissioner Ponstein.
Thank you, Chair Burrow. Ben, thanks for everything. You look at the federal government, and they'll have like a $7.5 billion outlay, and you wonder, what did we get out of that? And then I look at your budget at $7.5 million, and all the land that you manage and make a great place for people to visit is just nothing short of remarkable. I know the staffs should take a lot of credit for that, and I just appreciate it. And I think one of the problems is that we've got some great parks, and I know people I talk to in my little region of the world have no idea of some of the parks. And when I point out, have you been here or there or there, I think people tend to go to the parks that are closest to them, and Johnson Park's our closest. We've got a great partnership with the county on our Kent trails. I think Granville and Wyoming share on the cost of maintaining that. And that's kind of to my first question, is that we've got so many trails out there. Commissioner Faber touched on it a little bit, but just the maintenance of it. Is there a plan? Granted, we don't have trucks and cars like a road, but when I walk these small paths, I just wonder, well, how does the asphalt company do that? That big machine isn't going to fit there. What is the process when we get to a point that a trail may need some upkeep?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. Thank you. And the fact of the matter is that we have an incredible amount of asphalt in our system. So not only our trails, but you look at our parking lots and the things that we have in our parks as well. The asset management is a huge part of it. One of the goals that I have in the next couple of years is actually to come up with a defined asset management program, because right now, admittedly, what we do is when the budget comes around, we spend a couple days, we go out with the park managers, we look at everything, and then we make that decision then, basically, what that is. And we're trying to be a little bit more strategic about it and plan ahead. So one of the things that I'm really excited about, that we've been able to partner with the Metro Council this year, is for the past couple decades, you've had your Payzer asset management system for your roads, right? And the Metro Council did a great job. They had the van, I think it's maybe an SUV now, but you basically drive it on the roads and it does your Payzer ratings for you, and you have this beautiful red, yellow, green map of the entire county and the roads, and it helps you figure out, okay, in 4 or 5 years, where do I need to invest my money to make sure the road system keeps up? The Metro Council this year actually bought a bike trailer that does the same thing for trails, and they're doing a pilot program in Millennium Park. In fact, they might actually be out there today doing the same thing, riding our 17 miles of trails down there to help us to put together a true asset management program for the trails. So we can be strategic about that into the future. As far as the actual work, the good thing is that we're not the only entity building trails, right? Cities are building trails, townships are building trails, the state's building trails, and the construction companies have caught on. So they actually build half-width machines now, so they can go and lay trails just the same way that they lay and do the roads, which has opened up trails to a better mix of fixes. So for the longest time, if you wanted to fix your trail, you ripped it out and you repaved it. You couldn't do crush and shape. You couldn't do, a mill and a lift. And now you have some of these new fixes as well, so you don't have to just straight up reconstruct every 20 years.
Thank you. Then just one more, you mentioned the campground, and that's another thing when I tell people, did you know the county owns a campground, that they have no idea about it. And it's great that they're used, there's a line, there's a demand, and you can say that about a lot of the rental facilities within our parks. I mean, they're well-maintained, and there's a need out there for it. I'm not the stressful kind of guy that likes to pull a trailer somewhere, you know. But then again, I don't want to stay in a hotel, and I've seeked out things like the state parks that have got cabins. What is the future? Is there room for expansion to maybe get more people to realize things like that are available? Are there private sector alternatives to assist in getting those things built, like modular, put in place ones?
Yeah, so we, in 2023, we built another 3 cabins out in Wabasis that we thought were going to help with the demand, and very clearly, you know, there's more demand on top of that. So we're continuing to have conversations out there. I think that there's a lot of solutions that we can take a look at. We've had conversations about creating camping opportunities in some of our other parks as well. So Ottawa County did an amazing project at the Ottawa Sands Park over on the lake shore with their tree houses and their yurts. You know, we've talked about, you know, an opportunity, having that at one end of the Greenway, having something at our end of the Greenway as well. So I certainly think that those are opportunities. And had a couple comments now about, you know, hidden gems and making sure people, you know, understand. One of the things that I failed to mention in our report, and it's technically something that happened in 2025, but we do have a dedicated communications manager in our department now who has been doing an amazing job, not only for us, but for that health department as well, getting some of this information out there. So just an anecdotal story, we've offered hunting in 3 of our Kent County parks now for almost 20 years. We have 42 permits that we give out, and typically we'd have 200 to 250 applications for those permits. We got together this year with Mark and the team, and we in the past never did a really good job of advertising that these permits were available. Obviously, deer management's become a difficult conversation in Kent County, so we thought it was time, hey, let's get this information out there. And just with a little bit of effort, we had nearly 1,000 applications for, unfortunately, still 42 permits, so we had some disappointed people out there, but that dedicated communications manager is doing a great job of managing our social media, getting that information out there. Today's post was just her out hiking at Proven Trails, another hidden gem in our system, making sure people know that, hey, these parks are out here and come explore them and see what we have to offer.
It's funny you mentioned that post on the money, because I saw that this morning.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Paclo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ben, thanks for being here. I echo the accolades for the great work that you all are doing. I think these are fantastic assets that we have in our community, and hope to continue to share that experience with folks. One of the things I noted as we're going through this presentation is really the multimodal and accessibility focus that you take with the work that's happening in renovations and with park access. I mean, I've run Riverbank Run enough times where Butterworth has just been absolutely flooded, and it's a terrible experience once you go through that giant puddle. Knowing that area, knowing that trailhead right over there, knowing that Johnson Park has focus on multi-use, you know, multi-skill level mountain bike trails, I think it's just a tremendous approach to parks that needs to be heralded in more spaces. So I just huge appreciation for that. You mentioned just recently the asset management goal that you got, right? And I want to just make a pitch for some level of coordination across the county when we're starting to think through systems that are already set up in other departments, that there are opportunities for us to create those collaborations. You know, we just had a presentation from Tim talking about the asset management that works inside of the facility space. So, you know, highest and best use of folks in all of our areas around the county is a great way to think about collaboration, and, you know, trying to find, are there opportunities to double dip in asset management personnel? Are there ways that there are efficiencies that are created from, you know, sort of the scale expansion that we might have by adding in the assets that the parks have? Just a huge proponent of looking for those collaborations. And then the final question, or the final comment, which is a question. We've talked through a little bit of the automation and sort of, you know, not AI, but, the automatic mowers and the gates and things. I didn't see that in the presentation today. Just wondering if you can give a little cue into some of those projects, and then maybe talk through how that's helping you from a, 28 full-time staff member position to service the parks.
Yeah, great. I appreciate that. So we are jumping into the automation. So our first project that got launched this spring. Again, the presentation's always a little weird, right? Because it's technically a 2024 presentation, but we are excited about the automation. So at Creekside Park in Gaines Township, we did add our first automatic gates. Admittedly, we learned some lessons putting those in, but that has been a really good project for us, not only the automated gates, but the automated mowers there as well. So I am happy to report that all of our mowers are still there and running. So they do a great job of making sure that if they leave the GeoNet area, that we get alerted and all of that. None of them have left there. They basically turn into a brick if somebody tries to take them. So doesn't mean they won't end up at the bottom of the creek. But it's been a great project for us. Again, the gates close at 10 o'clock, 10:01, the mowers go out, allowed to mow during the day. So it's not 100%, so it's not 100% automated. We still have to go there and do some weed whipping, and we like to have a staff person there. Sometimes the mowing goes on during the day, and we'll have a staff person there. But it's certainly one of the things that we have done traditionally over decades is that we send a seasonal person at night to close the gate, and somebody is there. And if you have a park like Creekside where there isn't any, some parks have staff there all day long. So Millennium Park, it's not an issue opening gates and closing the gates because we have staff from 6 o'clock until 10 o'clock. Creekside, we don't have that. So basically every morning you're paying somebody 2 hours to go out there and open the gate, and every evening you're somebody paying 2 hours, and we don't have to do that there anymore. So as you're looking at our seasonal staffing, I won't say it'll bring down our seasonal staffing costs, but we'll be able to reallocate those seasonal staff to some of the more important things. So in the CIP plan for 2026, we have gates at 3 more parks strategically that we'll be looking at, and automated mowers at another park as well. So we're continuing to refine that program and feather it in, but to this point, I'll say it's been successful.
All right. Any other commissioner comments? All right, seeing none, Ben, thank you for being here today,
you.
and look forward to your report next year. All right, next item on our agenda is brought to us by the Administrator's Office. This is acquisition of property for public safety communication purposes. Can I have a motion and support, please? All right, motion by Ponstein, supported by DeBoer. All right, commissioners, comments, questions, or concerns? Commissioner DeBoer.
Thank you, Chair. Can you just, can someone give a little bit more detail about what this communication equipment for the public safety purposes involves?
Al.
Sure, yes. Well, every year, we take a look at the properties that are foreclosed on. We talk to county departments about whether there's a need for anything there. We did the Sheriff's Department indicated an interest in having us secure this property for future use for communications. There is a tower there. Ultimately, a future action will come to you regarding at least how we would access space on the tower in the future. But today, we're just looking to secure the property. Linda, do you have anything to add?
No, that summarizes it. It's one of these opportunities where it's right up against the highway. So if the sheriff needs that spot for a new antenna, it's perfectly positioned.
All right, Commissioner Ponstein.
So my question isn't, I mean, I agree that it's needed, great opportunity, and we should do it, but in the years past with foreclosed properties and, looking at the map, it looks like there's some value to this. And the back taxes were $17,000. Is the county buying it? Is there a set price that, if someone come back, later, someone that didn't know that it was in foreclosure and then demands through the state that the value that it was and what was owed and the differences now owed to them, is that something that we have to worry about with what other property owners have had to deal with?
Because of the passage of time, we're under the new foreclosure statute that once we give the appropriate notices, and all those notices were given by the treasurer during the foreclosure process, it went through the court process, the court foreclosure process already. No one responded to those notices. No entity, no individual. That stops them from making a claim some point in the future. This is not like the tax foreclosure morass of years prior to the new, what we call 78T, when people could come back and, without a process in place, try and claim excess proceeds. We're dealing with that separately. There is a process in place. We give notices, we publish notices, and then the former property owner has the opportunity to file a form with the treasurer, a notice of intent to claim excess proceeds. None of that was done in this case or in the next AR, which is a couple of parcels that are going to the Parks Department. So we've met all of the legal requirements for notice to a property owner, and no, there was no response. So the 17,000 is the accumulated back taxes and would bring it current so that the treasurer and the treasurer's delinquent tax fund is being made whole. And then it'll be up to the county, because it's a public purpose, we can make the argument that it comes off the tax rolls as county property. But then again, because there's a cell tower on it, we may leave it on the tax rolls, and then we would pay the taxes going forward.
Okay, so I heard Al, and I just heard you. So there's a tower on the lot
Yes,
now.
yes.
I mean, how is that possible that nobody knows who owns this, but you have a cell tower there that's paying somebody for that?
Well, there's a difference between owning the property and owning the cell tower. And we are in contact with that cell tower company that had previously leased the property. When a cell tower is on a lease, when a parcel goes through tax foreclosure, the lease actually gets impacted, gets wiped out, like any other contract type that's impacted the property. The property notice goes to the property owner, which is the landlord type idea, and therefore nobody went out to the tower. It's posted on the property by our company, so it's posted for anybody to see that visits the property. It's sent to the registered address. All those notices were complied with. And so we are in touch with the tower company about how this works going forward, and that will come back to the board.
But they were paying somebody, right? And wouldn't you think that somebody is who owns this property?
That's the somebody that got the notices, Commissioner. That landlord got the notices and didn't react.
Yeah, we know who the owner of the property is and who the cell tower or cell company that leases the property from the property owner is. So those are all known things.
Right. So what we're doing now is working out a new lease with the cell tower company, where instead of paying the former owner, they would work with us instead.
So the former owner has just disappeared?
As far as we know, the former owner was not in town, and we've done everything we can. I even checked with the probate court to see if there was an estate open, and there is not.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Faber.
Yeah, so the church is adjacent to this, and then there were 2 vacant parcels next to that until recently. Both of those have been redeveloped into high-end single-family homes. So I would argue that this is pretty valuable property if it can get clear. Does this decision preclude us from putting this property back on the market at some point if we don't resolve the cell phone or the cell tower issue? Or is this is the use that we are committing to as it exists today? And then the second part of that is, if we had, for instance, a land bank opportunity here, has that been explored at all? Is that an opportunity?
Owning the property doesn't preclude the board from doing something different. So I think that the next action would be to bring you a lease with the cell tower. And certainly you can have whatever discussion you would like to have regarding future use of the property, or a portion of the property once it's under the county's control. But for today, we're just looking to get it under the county's control.
All right. Seeing no other questions, we have a motion and support. All those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed, that will go to full board at our next meeting. All right, next item on our agenda, brought to us by the Parks and Rec Department, acquisition of property for the Kent Trails Corridor purposes. Can I have a motion and support, please? Motion by Favor, supported by Pakla. All right, commissioners, comments, questions, or concerns? All right, Commissioner Pakla.
I was just hoping for some clarity because there were two different maps on here, and this is two parcels. I think that's right. That's the first section of the action item, right? Two parcels that total 2956 in back taxes.
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no other questions, all those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed, that has been approved. Next item on our agenda, brought to us by the Administrator's Office, Code of Ethics and Conflict of Interest Policy. Al, I'm gonna get a motion and support, and I'm gonna have Al just give us a little quick, brief synopsis on it. Do I have a motion, please? Motion by DeBoer, supported by Ponstein. Al?
Sure. Yes, this is just another installment in our ongoing policy team review of our policies, and basically, there's been a few updates, and we recommend approval of that. I should mention, we're slowly making our way through all county policies. When I was here the first time, we had basically required that all policies be reviewed on a 3-year basis, and that fell by the wayside over the last 20 years, and so we're just trying to get everything caught up, and that's what this is part of.
All right, commissioners, Commissioner Pakla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Also, just confirming, this is not a new policy. This is an update to a policy.
Update to it.
Okay. It would be very helpful if at some point we could see the red line of what those updates are.
We can do that, sure.
Just to compare those things. I mean, I read through it, I didn't see anything that was concerning to me from a policy perspective, but I would just love to know with clarity what exactly is changing.
We'll put that in the board packet.
Great.
Perfect, thank you. Commissioner Ponstein.
Thank you, Chair Burrow. So, Linda, I've talked about conflict of interest for most of the time that I've been a county commissioner. Is there a simple definition of what a conflict of interest is, instead of going through this document and trying to figure it out? What is the trigger?
Personal financial gain. That's as simple as I can make it.
Is that easy to measure? Or
Sometimes.
And it's easy to measure if somebody's giving you cash. It's more difficult if you're talking about a potential contract between the county and, say, a small business in which you have an interest, and so that the contract would obviously impact your position within that small business. It gets a little bit more cumbersome, and that's why the best way to deal with this is if there's a potential issue that rises to the level that you're thinking about it, talk to Al, talk to me, and we can determine if that truly is an issue or if it isn't. If you're on staff at a university or a hospital and there's some small connection between the county and that big organization, it's not going to impact your job or your paycheck. That's not a conflict. If you're in a sole proprietorship and you're getting a contract with whatever department and it's going to send a lot of money to that sole proprietorship, that's a conflict because that goes directly into your pocket, even though it's going through the company.
Brian's glad she came. No, I'm just kidding. Commissioners, any other comments, questions? If not, all those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed, has been approved and will go to full board on the 25th. Any commissioner miscellaneous? Commissioner Faber.
Just because we were talking about parks today, I know it was in Al's Digest, but one of our critical partners in the parks work, the Kent County Parks Foundation, is having their annual Something's Grilling fundraiser tomorrow evening at Millennium Park, so hope to see some folks there. They've really been a key contributor when we look at those capital dollars that we've been able to leverage in addition to state money. The Parks Foundation, it's rare that we get a request in front of this board that doesn't have some sort of local match. So just want to give a shout out to the Parks Foundation and hope to see some folks tomorrow night.
Commissioner Ponstein.
Thank you, Chair Burrow. So, I saw in the news last night that the amphitheater, which is already being built, closing on opening day, has now announced that they are going to be having their fundraiser to raise the remaining funds. Al, is there maybe information to get on where are we at with these projects? I know there was always some concern that the zoo's opportunities to raise money. I mean, we've got an amphitheater already being built. They're going to be using hotel motel tax. Have we set what the boundaries are of what they can and can't ask for? If they're now halfway through their building cycle, they're starting their fundraising now?
Commissioner, good question. They aren't starting now. So they actually started the private fundraising before the public, and they have a private stack and a public stack. And so the public stack included, yes, investments from hotel, motel, DDA, brownfield, state, and then the private fundraising, they have raised quite a bit. And so they're more in the final stage of doing that. That's a grand action thing. We're really not involved in that at all. And so I could certainly find out from them what they need to hit the finish line, but yes.
Well, it's more of what the impact of that hotel motel tax. Are we leveraging everything that we've got on those two projects, or are we gonna leave room for other projects?
Right now, we're leveraging most everything on 3 projects. One is the 5%, most of that is going to pay off the convention center. And the way that was set up at the beginning, I was here for that, because you have a big new convention center and it takes a while to fill it up. There were interest-only payments set up on that debt, and then the debt escalates significantly in the final years of the payment, which is done at the end of 2031. And then with the 3% hotel motel tax, most of that leverages the soccer stadium debt that the city is responsible. They sold the debt for it and they're responsible to pay that. And so, yes, the hotel motel tax is mostly leveraged with that. And then, as you know, there's a number of smaller items that the tax pays for. In typical county fashion, we were conservative with our estimates of the tax. So depending what happens in the world, whether there's recessions or depressions or whatever could impact that. But we're feeling pretty good about the stability of the hotel motel tax to meet the debt service requirements that are on it right now. So obviously major projects such as potentially an aquarium in the future would need to be somewhat timed should hotel motel tax be requested and should it be approved by the county board to help pay for a project like that. Whether there's additional funds annually, because if we continue to set records in hotel rooms and people coming here for conferences and all kinds of things, if that were to continue and if the economy stays good, there could be more money annually than what we anticipated, but that will be something we'll experience on a year-to-year basis.
Okay, well, thank you. You don't need to send a note. I think you clarified that. It's just what you hear on the news and what's real is normally 2 different things. So I just wanted to add in miscellaneous comments, Chair Burrow, is that we went through a lot of stuff with the zoo and the parking. Is it a park? Isn't it a park? You're taking this away, my life's gonna change and everything. So if you folks get an opportunity, I welcome anyone just to drive through the new parking lot or look at it. The amount of trees that were put in, the way it's set up, the islands, how it fits the aesthetics of that area. It's now got a new entrance that's going to be much more safer. It's got an entrance for school buses with better drop-off for the kids, so they're not walking through cars. it's more safe for the people that park there and then have to walk into it. So, you know, that's what the zoo did. I think they lived up to everything that they were committed to. They took a lot of attacks from the public about this project. At the end of the day, they needed more parking. And I want you to know, they could have just cleared the whole place and just put asphalt down. They didn't, and it cost them a substantial amount of money in planning and building of that. So if everyone gets a chance, get a look, because I'm sure there's still people unhappy, and somehow the John Ball Zoo wronged the community in somehow, and that's just a false narrative.
Thank you, Commissioner Ponstein, and my wife and I were there Saturday, and it does look very nice, so thanks for those comments. Commissioner Faber.
Yeah, I'll just, not to go back, but just to clarify, my understanding is there was $70 million in the private fundraising campaign for the amphitheater. 30 of that was the Acrisure naming rights sponsorship, and they're down to the last remaining 5% of raising the 70 million that was committed to originally. So the announcement of the capital campaign, if you've done nonprofit capital campaigns, there's the silent campaign, which we are ending, and then you finish with the public campaign, which usually is what takes you over the top when you're basically already there. And it's the smaller donations, the community donations, that kind of take you over the top. So 70 million, 30 of that was the naming right, 95% is already secured, and now this public campaign is to wrap that up. And I'll save my zoo comments for another time.
All right, any other commissioners miscellaneous? If not, meeting is adjourned.